kidding. Anywho, we're gonna go for a wee bit of a drive. That's right, a wee bit. Gotta make it down these crazy druts in my driveway. It is mud season. Yes, that is an actual season. We have winter, mud season, spring, summer, leaf peeper, and winter up here in the mountains. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. Blue skies. All of that business. Quite sure what I was planning on talking about today. I was just gonna get, I guess, some thoughts out of my mind. I don't really know what thoughts I do have to get out of my mind. You know, there's so much to think about, but for me personally, I've spent the better half of the last couple years here just finally slowing down and processing everything that I have, you know, been inundated with and experienced. And yeah, when you are extroverted and you spend a lot of your time doing, and you don't really slow down, you don't get quiet, you don't go internal. A lot of that stuff really, just everything compounds, everything gets stacked up, and your brain needs to be able to process it. And I think that a lot of us are overstimulated, and we don't really, either by choice or if it's just, you know, that's the way of being now. Time to go quiet, and what better place to go quiet than the mountains of the north. So anyways, I feel like I've kind of gotten all of my thoughts out, but I mean, there's a lot that I have been researching, there's a lot I've been working on. I do think it's important for me to get writing. What would I write about? Well, I have several ideas. I mean, I've always been incredibly interested in history. And gosh, there's so much material there. I do a lot of research independently. A librarian's assistant, so I have a lot of background in that field, I suppose. Research, you know, and research really these days, I mean, the bar is pretty low, pretty much, as long as you don't take, you know, everybody's word as gospel, and you look it up for yourself. You're a step ahead of, you know, most of the population. And of course, we're getting stuck behind a big John Deere. Man, those tires are massive. Can't imagine driving one of those things. They're pretty sweet. Another idea for my writing, I mean, I'm not really into fiction. You know what I mean? I don't think. I think truth is stranger than fiction, and it's far more interesting. I mean, obviously, I love fiction writers. Some of them, the classics, Tolkien. But for the most part, I like my nonfiction, and I think people are starved for nonfiction. Fiction's been pushed so hard as mind around what is. I don't think you can even begin to conceive what could be until you really fully understand what is. And I spent many years living in the clouds on what could be's, and now, back down to earth, and I'm working on the what is. And past this guy, it's much safer for him. He is a very tough job. It's a dangerous job, driving those things on the roads. We have a lot of out-of-staters who fly by here. Anywho, so another idea that I've had, I mentioned I lived a long time in the clouds and the what could be's, and I was thinking that it would be an interesting idea. I'm not really, I don't want to bitch about my past. I don't want to do memoirs, but I do think that I've had a very interesting life, and I think that it would be very beneficial, not only to myself. Self-authoring is very beneficial, but I think it would also benefit others. A wise man learns from his own mistakes, but a wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. I wasn't the wiser. I had to learn from my own mistakes, and I think it would be very interesting to look at a good portion of my life and my decision making through the lens of the Trivian method, which is essentially studying. You study grammar, logic, and rhetoric. And I lived a very logical life. It'd be very interesting to go back and, basically just explain away a lot of my bullshit. But, anywho, I don't want to be, I don't want to go through it, I'm not a victim. It's not woe is me. Like, at the time, I let climbing these ladders to the clouds, and they forget about what's here. Oh, I was talking about grounding, right? So, on the real, when you put your feet to the ground, positive ions are released into your feet. Now, that's not just some mumbo-jumbo that somebody made up. That's, you have to get with, what is real. And you have to understand, for lack of a better word, the science of it all. And you have to, it's not enough to just say, oh, that makes sense. You have to really put the thought and the research behind it. So yeah, look that up. Anything I say, look up those facts. Gosh, I remember in school, we would do current events, and we would always talk about, okay, like, what's a good source for your information? And we have a lot of secondhand sources out there in life. And, I feel like the best way to get the best information is to become a first-hand source, to actually get out there and see it, touch it, feel it, question it. But I digress. So those are some ideas that I've had for a book. Some examples of me just going out and testing. It's one thing to have a theory, it's another to test it out, and that's part of the trivium method. And they teach this a lot in Christian schools, to filter everything through the trivium, so you don't get swindled, and you don't swindle yourself when it comes to information. But anywho, some examples of that. One time I thought, oh man, wouldn't it be so sweet if I grew moss on some skateboards? Yeah, that's right, moss on skateboards. I thought that would feel really nice. Gosh, I thought it would be nice and cushy to have some moss on some skateboards. And everybody's into the super earthy stuff, and millennials, it's all about finding a way to monetize these ideas. I mean, boomers do it too, but I feel like millennials have really gotten down what, the marketing and monetization is. Like, they've got that game down pat. And this was one of my ideas. Like, this was one of my $1 billion ideas, was to grow moss on skateboards. So I got a couple of my old skateboards. I sanded them down. How you grow moss, you take some moss and you basically I sprayed these boards down with yogurt. Yogurt helps grow the moss and also adheres it to the wood. So I did that. It was a great idea, big ol' mess. It did not really work out the way that I planned it to. They were not functional. They were beautiful pieces of art, but they were not my big lead on this endeavor was that the victims of 3 Mile Island, that nuclear disaster, were given zeolite clinoptile cookies. So zeolite clinoptile is a substance that will absorb radiation. And so I said, oh, well, if they can put it in the cookies, then for sure I can put it in the soil. So I put zeolite clinoptile in some soil, and I grew some veggies in a shed with a lamp. And, I was out there with my Geiger counter testing it out. And, yeah, the zeolite clinoptile, it does work. But had I been using the trivium before I went through all of this crazy business trying to grow these? So, essentially, it's fine and dandy to make radiation-free crops, but what was totally illogical about this is that obviously if you take them outside, the instant that you take them outside, they're absorbing radiation, whether it be from the sun, from the air. It is just totally 100% what a goofy misstep. I didn't even I didn't even see it. It didn't even dawn on me that would be a problem. And what is radiation but rays from the sun, man. So that idea is come and gone. I think it was an interesting experience. It feels good to try and follow through on stuff like that. The matter is finding something worth following through on. And it was a glorious waste of time. It felt good, but I could have been on to another one of those 5 good ideas that I imagine most people have every day. moving away, but to be honest, there's no place that I would rather be than up here in the north. I don't care how cold it gets. I used to walk to work 10 below weather, windy as all hell, 2 miles there and back every day, and that's fine. And yes, we brag and we wear it as a badge of honor, but this place is beautiful, and I like being next to the rivers. Having that, even if you're just driving around, you're surrounded by nature. And there's nothing worth more than that in this world to me. You come into town and there's one red light. Yeah, in the whole town, man. That's what I'm talking about. I don't spend any time in bumper to bumper. Every once in a while, I gotta stop and wait for John Deere. But oh gosh, and the road crews. Our roads get so beaten up. It's unbelievable. So we have a lot of potholes, a lot of stuff we need to fill. And I am at my destination. Let's see. I'm gonna turn my car off because that's rude. Yeah, around here, people get very, very silly about leaving your vehicle on. Does it make a big impact in the city when you have, 1 billion people all with leaving their cars on? Yeah, I'm sure that creates a big problem. Out here in the mountains, where you have, maybe 2,000 people here, and you might leave your car on for a few minutes, I don't think that that's too big of a deal. Gosh, I was really hoping to get, I was really hoping to talk through some information, but I really, I suppose I need to prepare. I was out for a drive, so I don't really I don't have a set of notes in front of me that I can just queue up and prompt me. It's not like writer's prompts. I don't have speaking prompts in front of me. And to be honest, with a lot of this stuff, it's difficult. I guess you just speak for yourself and your audience finds you. And they may or may not know exactly what the hell you're talking about. But I'm a perfectionist. I'm one of those people who, I want to explain myself and articulate my ideas to the best of my ability so that people understand exactly where I'm coming from and they have a comprehensive, articulation. Maybe this will help me get better at public speaking. I'm sure it will. I mean, it's easy when you have an audience. Well, or sometimes it's harder when you have an audience. For me, I can, focus on the audience, and you can see where people are at. You can see their wheels turning. You can see, when they're dropping off, and when you need to either speed things along or change your subject. But yeah, I don't have that here. We're looking at some blue skies. That's it. I got nothing but blue skies for me. And most of the time when I'm driving around, I'm singing to myself. Right now, I'm working on a bit of a sore throat. But that won't stop me because I'm a mountain person and nothing stops me from what I want to do. So yeah, I suppose I would be singing to myself. Riding in the car with me is like a front row seat to a concert you never wanted to go to. I think this is funny. When I play this back, it's like when you hear yourself on a voicemail or on the telephone. Sometimes it gets that yak back. And you hear what you sound like, externally. It's a very weird thing. I hate the way that I sound. When I hear my voice played back, I sound very gruff. I have a bit of a deeper voice, and maybe you can't tell because I have a bit of a sore throat. There's a little more gravel in my voice than usual, but typically I do have, a deeper voice. And it's not sexy like Demi Moore. It just is. And yeah. So that'll be interesting. I think scientifically, I heard somewhere, and look this up because don't take my word for it, but I think it's a great percentage of the population that does not appreciate what they sound like when they play it back. But that's, try it out, test it out. It's pretty funny. I like doing it sometimes. From time to time, you find out what you really look like, what you really sound like. Pictures is the same. Nobody likes what they look like in pictures because it doesn't match up with your idea of yourself. That's why you have these Instagram models who take 5,000 pictures of themselves and they only choose one. And then I guarantee you for the next week after they post it, they're going to be analyzing it. It's such a strange thing. I mean, yeah, I don't really like the way that I look in pictures, but I could really care less. And I'm not one of those people, I don't really take pictures of myself. I did in my youth because that was, the thing to do. It was the age of the selfie, Started with MySpace, duck face. I never actually did the duck face though, but a lot of my friends did. But yeah, it's like this weird thing where you don't, you have this idea of yourself, what you sound like, what you look like, and I guarantee you it's a lot different once you have it recorded, either via voice, picture, or video. But anywho, speaking of Instagram is interesting. I feel like you have these platforms for people to express themselves. You know, and that's all fine and dandy. I'm all for people expressing themselves. I dabble in art myself, but it's morphed itself. It's, you know, millennials will find any way possible to promote themselves and to monetize whatever they're doing. So you have people who, you know, they're promoting a lifestyle, they're promoting themselves, and, you know, they're like, oh, this is what I'm wearing, and they get kickbacks for wearing a certain item, or it's weird because they're selling themselves, essentially. You know, it doesn't matter what the product is. It doesn't matter what it is. They're selling themselves, like they turn themselves into a commodity, which is a very strange thing. You know, now that you can monetize your blogs and everything links up to whatever it is, it's just like, you know, it always ends up on the online, you know, it always ends up in an online shopping mall, in my opinion, it's just strange. It's very, very strange. You know, it's almost like a pyramid scheme without being a pyramid scheme. You know, because it's weird. Like, you have your big idols at the top of the pyramid, and they, you know, it trickles down, and people are trying to climb this pyramid, like, especially with like these lifestyle people that you have, especially on like Instagram and sometimes with YouTube too, where people are essentially it's like this big pyramid of kind of like self-help or lifestyle gurus who essentially, you know, they're promoting all the same, you know, good vibe mumbo jumbo, and it's all about being happy and high all the time, whether that be naturally or via drugs. You know, let me show off these 5 yoga poses, and I'll tell you all about this one crystal, and if you pay me, you know, if you pay me for a private session, I'll tell you the real secrets. And the real secret is that they're just regurgitating the same shiz that they read or took in from the next lifestyle guru up the ladder. You know, everybody read Eckhart Tolle, and then you have, you know, Power of Now. Everybody got into yoga. Everyone's a yogi, especially if you have a decent looking body and you decide to be a yoga master, and you know, you have all these trendy yoga pics on Instagram. It's unbelievable. And then you have a whole bunch of people who are like kind of more straight-laced, you know, they're kind of, you know, they're not as hippy-dippy, and those are the people that are into regurgitating, you know, all of Tony Robbins or Oprah's stuff. And then, you know, like, it's just, you know, it's just unbelievable. Like, just the regurgitation. You know, people aren't trying to learn anything new. People aren't trying to, like, really work together on any of it. They just want somebody who doesn't feel as good about themselves to pay them, you know, gosh, a life coach That's just so weird. Like, I'm sure some people actually really need the help, but instead of taking a good hard look at themselves and working on themselves, like, it's all about the external. It's all about finding somebody else who's going to tell you or help you. You know, it's these people who want to be rescued. It's like, and it's, you know, most of the time it's these people who, they know what the right thing to do is, to eat better, or, you know, to be more active, you know, and, you know, really think about and work on themselves. They know what the right things to do are. And there's extremely basic, you know, it's basic knowledge. It's the simpler, the more realistic it is. But no, these people are looking for the external. And it's like this big cycle. And they're all circling each other's drains. You know, you pay these people to help you out and tell you what to say and what to do. And then once you get good enough at that, you can tell the next person what to say and what to do. And they'll pay you to be a lifestyle coach. God, like, what a time to be alive, where everybody and their mother is a lifestyle coach. You know, you're teaching everybody else how to live their lives. You're not even, you know, living it's just unbelievable. I digress. I'm sorry. That's just ridiculous to me. And I'm just spouting off the top because I think about stuff like that. You know, and I used to watch, you know, a couple of different, like, lifestyle type coaches and stuff on YouTube or what have you. And I don't really feel like my life is the better for it. I feel like once I put all of that stuff aside and just went, you know, just really started looking at myself, not, you know, this sunshine and rainbows, glittered, glazed over, good vibes, bananas that everybody is trying to sell these days. Like, when you get real about it, things start to change, you know? And, of course, there are many, many changes that I could make in my life that would make me happier. I know what those are. I'm not paying somebody to tell me what those are. So I think I'm a step ahead of the game in that conception. Sorry, I gotta take a second to hydrate here. It's extremely important. I am made of water. Yeah, that's right. I am made of water. We're all a bunch of water molecules with a little bit of carbon mixed in. I wonder if that's why people get are so into population control these days. Because we're made of carbon and water. So, oh man, just the fact that you exist is a carbon footprint. Every time you walk, carbon footprints, man. You know, I think, yeah, obviously there's a lot that we could do to make our world a better place. Obviously, we don't need to use and consume as much as we do. 100%, myself included. Absolutely. I'm not exempt. Nobody is. And then, well, maybe 0.05% of the population that, you know, goes hardcore on sustainability. But, you know, obviously we need to clean up our act. Do I think that we're going to end in a big old cataclysm because I left my car on for a few minutes? No. Because I'm made of carbon? No. But we do need to clean up our act. I mean, we do green up day once a year. You wouldn't believe how much trash we have on the side of the road. It's disgusting. When I go hiking, I bring a bag with me and I pick up other people's trash. You know what I mean? And it's not because I think the world is going to end. It's because you should have respect for the place you live. And when you travel, you should have respect for the way that they live and their land. Land is so important. Unbelievably important. And I think everybody knows that. You know? But I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think we do need to get our act together. You know, but I can't make everybody get their act together. You know, it is. If you spend all of your time trying to help other people, and, you know, I think the community starts with yourself, is essentially what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Let's see here. I have about 10 minutes or so before I'm going to head into work. I don't like to get in there terribly early because, I mean, I always show up early, but I don't like to get in there terribly early because I feel that, you know, there's not any more work to be done in my line. So I don't like to take advantage of my employers by, you know, my employers are not like, you know, I don't work for a corporation. I work for an association. And, you know, I don't think to myself very often, damn the man, I'm gonna cheat the system and I'm gonna clock in half an hour early so that and do not any more work than I would normally. That's just weird. It's not right. So I'm gonna hang out here until I have to go in. And yes, I did arrive here quite early. I don't know what it is, but the past few years, you know, this is how I feel. Is that I just feel like being early is one of the biggest ways that you can show respect for others. And, you know, when you respect others, I feel like you can respect yourself. It's about self-respect. As soon as I started respecting myself, I started arriving everywhere, you know, at least 15 minutes early. I think that early is on time is late, and late is just unacceptable. So, I don't play that game, and I've only been late to work this job once in 2 years. And that, you know, that was my own doing. So, and I don't feel terribly good about it. But anywho, it all worked out fine. The only thing is that, you know, you get a certain reputation. You know, everybody knows that I'm here early. If I'm not here on time, people start to worry. They say, it's, you know, whatever o'clock, and Hannah's not here. I wonder if something happened. So that's another reason why I get here early, is because I don't need people worrying about me. You know? And I appreciate that I have people that worry. Well, I don't appreciate that they worry, but I have appreciation for people that care about me. You know, and that's what I feel like you get here when you live in small towns, is that, you know, people care about you. They might not care about you the way that you want them to care about you. I don't want anybody to worry. I don't feel like that does anybody any good. And in general, I don't worry about anything anymore. You talk about, like I used to be super new age. It was all about no worries, baloney. But let me tell you, I worried about all kinds of stuff. Now, like when you come to the realization that these things, it's, I've adopted a few of the stoicisms, the philosophy of stoicism's practices. And one of them is, when you implement logic into your life, there's literally nothing for me to be worrying about. I only deal with what is. I deal with what's in front of me. And right now, what's in front of me is some blue skies. That's what's in front of me. I've been in car accidents. I've had people hit me with their car. I got T-boned about 6 months ago. And I didn't worry about it. I got hit. I was okay. My passenger was okay. The woman who hit me was okay. And that was that. I have insurance. You got to plan for these things. And I don't worry myself planning over everything. I just, you do the right thing. And so when these things pop up, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. And let me tell you, and now that I don't worry about these things, anything can happen. I could get hit by an airplane. An airplane could fall out of the sky and crash into me. But I don't think that that's going to happen. And if it did, you just have to deal with it. That's kind of how life works. And I feel like people are out there looking for all this external stimulation, happiness. And, it's funny, as soon as I stop looking to make myself constantly happy, I chilled out a lot. And I enjoy my life a lot more. Even if it's just sitting in my car, chatting, sipping on some kombucha in front of some blue skies here. That's what's up. Take a breath. Sometimes you forget to breathe. Or you don't breathe. I'm a little stuffed up. But... And it's so funny. There are certain ways that you're supposed to breathe now. You have Wim Hofs. And you have yogis telling you how you're supposed to breathe. I don't know. I haven't really looked very far into those things. But I imagine that most people naturally breathe in a way that benefits them. You need oxygen. You take in oxygen. You expel carbon monoxide. And that's just how it works. I don't know why everybody's trying to overthink it. If you're thinking about your breathing, then I think you're wasting your time. And you could be focusing on other, more important things. Straight up. It is a very windy day today. It is blustery. We're higher elevation than most folks. And it gets windy as all business through here. Especially, we have a lot of cool air right here next to the river. love the river. Oh my goodness. I think rivers are like the most majestic. You know, when I think of like a magical, majestic place, I think of the river. I mean, the forces of nature, you know, and you have these gorgeous stones. We live right on the edge of two tectonic plates, so we get these gorgeous stones in the river. Amazing, amazing stones. And then you have this beautiful, cool water flowing over it. The rivers never get really too warm here. It's nice. Like, I don't go swimming in heated pools. I don't go swimming at, you know, super down south at the beach where it's all nice and hot. You go swimming to cool off, in my opinion. That's what I do. I go swimming to cool off. So I like it cool enough for the fish to be swimming. And fishing. Don't even get me started on fishing. I'm getting very excited about this spring. I've gotten very interested in fly fishing. I think there's nothing more simple or more beautiful than fly fishing. You know, it's just simple really is better. And I mean that. The less you have in front of you, I feel like the happier you're gonna be. It's that simple. But I'm really excited about fly fishing. I'm interested in Japanese fly fishing. Talk about simple. You don't use a reel. There's no reel involved. So it's just you, a pole, a line, a hook, and a fly. And the most beautiful rainbow trout you've ever seen in your entire life. That's what's up. And I'm very excited about that. You know, and most people think of fly fishing, and I do this too because I love that movie. A lot of people think of A River Runs Through It. You know, people might only recognize that movie because it was one of the first Brad Pitt movies. But let me tell you, Brad Pitt's character in that movie, not the greatest. He gets killed for a gambling debt. It's not very majestic. Whereas it's about, well, anyways, it's two brothers who fly fish with their pastor father, and it is majestic, to say the least. But anywho, I digress. I could talk about fly fishing another time, but I think I'm gonna head into work now. And hopefully open some windows up and enjoy this beautiful spring air that I am incredibly grateful for. Catch you on the flip side.